Hello.
Here we are. I grew a ma tree for
Good
yoga.
morning.
Good morning. She got her up in the middle of the night.
That's right.
I don't see anybody here with us yet. I'm going to dash over here just quickly and see if this is transmitting over here. It appears to be. It says we are live now. And Roseanne is there now on there, but she's not on over here. She hasn't typed anything yet. So Roseanne, we know we caught you. We know you're there, but you have to type hi in the box. There she
is.
Good morning, Ma. Good evening, SJ. And there is Nilesh, and there.
Hi, Nilesh.
And there.
Hi, Raj.
Raj. And there is our names, so everybody knows who we are. I have put them there.
They might mix us up, Swamiji.
Yeah, they might not know. They might not know who we are. I have just grown a Joe here.
Hi, Joe.
Door, and I have a Rojo in the dining room.
Hi, Rojo.
She said hi if you couldn't hear her.
I could hear that.
She's chewing, and so there we go. And so with a little luck, there is the Yoga Sutras outline. Oops, where did it go? It's supposed to be over here. There it is. And Raj, that's a big hello.
Hello.
So there is, I will show that big. Oops, I don't want that. I want to solo that. I'm going to make that solo for just a moment so that we can all see where we are, as if you didn't know. So we're looking here tonight in this third section of the Yoga Sutras. We started chapter 1 a few days ago and then did chapter 2. And so the task of the night tonight is to review practice and non-attachment. Is that okay, Ma?
That's very okay.
All right. Practice and non-attachment. All right, then I'm going to put this back. I'm getting pretty slick with this thing, aren't I?
Yeah, just let me know when you're offline and I can eat something or take a sip.
When I'm offline?
When you're not including my picture.
Well, I've got you.
I'm just kidding. I can do it whenever when I want.
Here, watch this. All right, boom. There, you're out of there. You would see now I can't hear you. So if you want to get back in, you have to put your finger up like this. All right, so there for everybody else, she put her finger up and she gave me prayer hands. So there. Please.
On a Diwali night, although Diwali is tomorrow or Friday?
I think it's tomorrow.
Yeah.
Arun put up a thing on the group that it started today, but that when he said today, it's already tomorrow there.
Yeah. So I think it's Thursday for you.
And so anyway, I'm going to bring this down and put this up. Okay?
Okay.
So there is where we are.
Hi, Anjan.
Hello, Anjan. Oh, and Sriram. Boy, I was not paying attention over here. There's
and B.
And there's
and Joe.
Sriram. And Anjan is here. And Joe is here. We now have two Joes. We have a Joe here. And we have a Joe in Melbourne.
Yeah.
But once
the upside down Joe.
The down under Joe. We have an up and over Joe and a down and under Joe. Can you see this, Ma?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And on my new big screen, it's really nice and big.
Is it? Good.
Yeah. But I could read it from my laptop as well. So. Now there's echo.
Now there's echo. You want me to change something here?
Yeah, suddenly the echo came.
Echo, echo, echo.
Echo.
I'm going to change my little earphone things here, and you can tell me if that helps.
Yeah, but then can
Okay.
Joe and Rojo cannot hear me anymore.
Yeah, well, that's true.
But then why did it suddenly start to echo, Swamiji?
I don't know. Is it echoing now?
Now it's not echoing. Yeah, it is echoing now.
Well, then that means the echoing is in your house.
But I am plugged in.
I don't know how it's echoing.
Weird. Oh well, we just continue.
So it's not echoing bad though, huh? Is anybody else hearing bad echoing? Because you're right, it is awkward here in the living room because if I put on these ear things, then it means Joe and Rojo cannot hear you.
Yeah.
And that's not fun. And so anyway, this is this third section here. And notice I'm just promoting this just to be aware if you go to the website and you're snooping around.
Maybe it's just Facebook because Joe's hearing echoing too sometimes. Because now it's gone again. It was just there for a few sentences.
How bad is the echoing, and on whose voice are you hearing it? On my voice or Matri's voice? Hello, Roseanne. Yes. Roseanne says yes. I don't know yes what. Anyway, whatever it is, it's yes. Practice and non-attachment. Practice.
There we go.
There we go. What?
I'm ready for it. For practice and non-attachment. Two very important principles.
Here, practice is abhyasa and non-attachment is vairagya, are two core principles on which the entire system of yoga rests. It is through the cultivation of these two that the other practices evolve, by which mastery over the mind field occurs. And remember here, now it seems okay. It's okay now. Did you do anything different, Ma?
No, I think it was Facebook. It just came.
It's weird.
It is.
Anyway, so remember the principle we're trying to do here in this review is to kind of go through it gently without trying to go into such detail that we get confused. And so remember, in the beginning sutra says yogas chitta vritti nirodha. I'm just going to click on this briefly. Yogas chitta vritti nirodha. Yoga is the nirodha, the transcending or the falling away or the quieting or whatever of the vrittis, the fluctuations that are in the chitta. What is that noise?
Oh, I'm just pouring hot water into my cup.
It's extremely loud. It sounds like you're using the toilet.
Sorry. It really was
like a man's toilet.
It was tea. I will be more discreet next time.
And then we have self-realization. Okay, this is the foundation of the thing. Abhyasa means having an attitude of persistent effort to attain and maintain the state of stable tranquility. And then reverse the sutras down below. Note that abhyasa is different than sadhana.
Yes.
The whole of chapter 2 of Yoga Sutras is called Sadhana Pada, the chapter or part on sadhana. So when you take sadhana and you come into English, you end up with practice. When you take abhyasa and you bring it into English, you come up with practice. It makes it sound like abhyasa and sadhana are literally the same. They are both practice, so in some sense it doesn't seem to matter that we commingle the words, but there is some usefulness in understanding that there is a difference. Sadhana is more specific. So when you say, okay, here's this practice of diaphragmatic breathing, here's this practice of moving your attention this particular way, 61 points exercise, which is part of what we do with Yoga Nidra, is a sadhana practice. So it's a specific practice. But abhyasa is more general. And so
more attitudinal. It's more like a way of life.
Well, it's general. And it's based on, as we'll see down there, the seeking of stitau. And the word stitau has two parts to it. We don't have, to my knowledge, a single word in our language that is translatable from stitau. It involves doing the things that lead us in the direction of a tranquil mind, a steady, tranquil mind, and that it is persistent, that it's always with us. That's the meaning of stitau. And so abhyasa is a general word, doing the practices, doing those things, making the decisions in life that lead us in that direction.
It's an amazing way to, what's the word? To kind of see how well an overall life is going. The more stitau just generally spontaneously shows up, it tells you something about the sadhana you're doing. Yes,
very good point. Yeah, because it's not a checklist sort of thing to do. I do this, and I do this, and I do this. But as we cultivate, as you're saying, the whole thing in life, we realize, wait a minute, this stuff's working.
It really is an effect of I mean, it really goes hand in hand with vairagya in the sense that both of them, of course, the practice is done, the constant searching for stability and the sadhana and all that, but this stitau, when it starts to show up, it's a really nice, because people say, well, used to, like, I've heard it many times, like, I used to, get more better, so to speak, in my meditations, but now my overall life is just getting better.
And that's actually works, isn't it? Yes. And that's the stitau. Yeah.
Yes.
Let me turn this on here, and when you and I want to talk, we can. There, what I did is I put, you and I are both hidden now, Ma. Everybody gets to see the whole thing, and just in
a moment. That's okay. They could still hear us, right?
Yeah.
So I can do funny faces at you, and nobody
sees
it.
Make funny faces. Of course, I can be sneaky. I can be very, very sneaky, and
don't do anything else.
And you won't know it.
Nilesh is saying something. I was just
our Sevita part of abhyasa. I don't know. Let's go down there and look at it. You're trying to make it complicated. I try to keep it simple, and here we got people trying to make it complicated. The essential companion is non-attachment. They work together. Practice leads you in the right direction, while non-attachment allows you to continue the inner journey without getting sidetracked into the pains and pleasures along the way. Gradually, non-attachment expands to the depth of the subtlest building blocks, gunas of ourselves, and the universe, which is called paravairagya, supreme non-attachment. Eventually, the three gunas resolve back into their cause during deep meditation, leading to final liberation. Now, this is in chapter 4, so these are an effort to link together all of these sutras, and it's one of the reasons it gets confusing, because if we don't connect the dots, so to speak, then when you get back here to this section, you don't know what happened to this, and what happened, where did this, all of a sudden, this vairagya business come from that's way back here. I've forgotten exactly which sutra it's in back here. Yeah. And
it's already in this block that eventually, if there's para vairagya, is that there is non-attachment towards the gunas.
Yeah.
So green.
Yeah. We let go of even the gunas.
Yeah.
The gunas have fulfilled their purpose. Gunas have fulfilled their purpose.
Yeah. It's a wonderful And now I hear echo again. Interesting. I think it's Facebook. It comes and goes. That the gunas are very practically in daily life as in self-observation and self-awareness. And then they go all the way up to 5. Okay. Oh, this is bad.
Are you? Yes. I'm trying to find the gunas here that you're talking about.
It's lower. I think it's the last sutra of this chunk.
All right, I'll take you down there. Are you reading ahead, or are you just having a good memory?
I'm just having a good memory.
Let's see. Okay.
Here. Indifference to the subtle elements constitute principles or qualities themselves. The gunas achieved through the knowledge of the nature of pure consciousness is called supreme non-attachment. Paravairagya.
Maybe, Nilesh, you can tell us what sutra you're finding Sakkar Sevita part of Abhyasa. Do you know where that is, Ma?
No, I'm not that sufficient in Sanskrit, but we can.
Yeah, I don't know. Type in there which sutra that is you're talking about, Nilesh, and we'll go take a look at it together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we can look at the translation and see what he's meaning. It's not there.
No, I was just going to move through this, but then between you and Nilesh, you've got me chasing it around.
Mm.
Yeah, okay. Raj is saying that's where it was. That was for honoring the practice. I don't know. You don't know what sutra that was in, Nilesh? Raj says he knows. This is the sutra that I was talking about before.
It's 14. Sutra 14.
Okay, we'll just bounce around then, and everybody tell me what sutra you want to go to, and I'll just scroll and go to it rather than going through it one after the other.
No, let's go one after the other, Swamiji. That's much more sense for all of us.
Well, that's what I was doing, but between you and Nilesh and Raj, it sounded like we wanted to bounce around. So we're on
Can wait
now. It has to do simply with ongoing pursuit. As I looked at these, I carefully chose several words that amongst various commentators, my attempt was to try to make it clear by not coming up with the one perfect word, because most of these words don't have one perfect word, because all of these words are in a context. They are in a context of the whole journey of yoga. And so to have pursued, practiced, cultivated, attended to, done with assiduous attention means pervasive, total, all the time attention with devotion, sincerity, respect, reverence, positive attitude, right action. This may not be a nice way to say this, but the thing you're talking about here, this is what I see happen very, 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 very often. I see a person on day one, they say, I've read books so-and-so, I've heard of Ramana Maharshi, I've heard of Swami Rama, I've heard of Krishna, I've heard of Christ, and I've decided in my life I want enlightenment. I want self-realization. It's the only thing that I want. And before you know it, the person is off chasing money and chasing sex, drug, and rock and roll. And then a couple of years later, they say, gee, help me figure out what's wrong with my practice. And what happened is that this sutra was entirely skipped. It was not done for a long time. They went off to a 2-week retreat somewhere and got a 200-hour yoga certified teacher training program person, and now they're going to go teach people yoga, and they never even did any of this themselves. And I know that sounds pretty harsh to say it like this, but it's
not for me, but not from my side.
But I get tired, frankly, of watching this happen with people over and over and over and over again. There are very few people who actually pursue this stuff and stick with it. Extremely few. All of the people that were, of the people that I knew around our little corner of the ashram, 10 years, of all the people that I met that came to Swami Rama's ashram when I was living there, when I was running those residential programs and retreats there, of all of those people, hundreds of people, maybe more than 1,000 people that I've met, 99.9% of them have disappeared. I don't know what they're doing. They're just gone. And what's the problem? Because they're not doing it with assiduous attention. They're not doing it with devotion, sincerity, respect, reverence, a positive attitude, and right action. And it may sound harsh, but this is not, Nilesh, I don't know what you were asking for when you wanted to talk about this, but this that is talking about in this whole sutra, in my opinion, and maybe I'm full of shit and don't know what I'm talking about, but this will not be learned out of a Sanskrit book. It will not be learned in a Sanskrit lesson. You can go get a PhD in Sanskrit and it will be of absolutely no use. You either look at this and you understand for a long time does not mean I went to India and sat in an ashram for a month and then I'm enlightened. That's not a long time. It's not measured in time. Without a break means every day. In the stuff we keep seeing that Swami Rama puts out, over and over and over, we see this phrase, constant awareness. Constant awareness. Constant means without a break. And I've had so many people say, will you give me an explanation of constant awareness?
It's like breathing.
It's like breathing. When do you stop breathing? Which day of the 7 days in a week, whether you start with Sunday or Monday, which of the 7 days of the week do you not breathe? Good point, Joe. Which one of those do you not breathe? And it sounds ridiculous. I know I'm being sarcastic in saying that, but
that's exactly true. It's 100%.
But it's the truth. This is the meaning of it, Nilesh. And only Nilesh can do it for Nilesh, and only Matri can do it for Matri, and only Roseanne can do it, and only Joe can do it, only I can do it. All we can do is follow the guidelines. Long time. Okay. Dirga. Okay, long time. That's the fancy translation. Without interruption. No interruption. No vacation. No holiday. No break. And do it with sincerity, do it with a proper attitude. And if we look at this, if we don't understand what this means, then we are not ready for Sutra 1 of the Yoga Sutras, which says, Atta Yoganushasana. Now, finally, I'm ready to do this stuff. Sadly, the vast majority of people in our modern world, probably the ancient world too, who start doing yoga and say, I want enlightenment and this is what I've been looking for all this life, are never going to do it.
I think most people have psychological problems. They're mistaking spirituality as a way out.
Anyway, it's not an escape. It's not an escape mechanism. So it's for simple language, long time, without a break. and with sincere devotion. That's a choice of words. You don't like that word, pick another word. And then the thing becomes rooted, stable, on a solid foundation, Dhrida Bhumi. And you can be a Sanskrit scholar and not have any stability. I know that's a crummy thing to say. Yeah, what, Mom?
Oh, I was just laughing that indeed they're not. One doesn't prove the other immediately, instantly. You can know it, but you can be very unstable and not practice it at all.
Yep. So, anyway, now I'm off in a little rant with that, but I was intending to go through these sutras, this
Well,
section.
like the rants, they're the best.
Yeah, but I was going to try to go through this gently, and quietly and softly and lovingly, and just say, do it for a long time without a break and sincere attention. But I increasingly come out with the attitude that's in, how many of you, ponder this, how many of you have had the courage, the raw courage to go through the 50 hours of Swami Rama lectures that we have put on the YouTube channel? If you go through those, you will find, you will hear him. If you listen, if you pay attention, you will hear Swami Rama standing in front of an audience of a couple hundred of his devoted students. And when you watch the camera swing,
Quote mark devoted.
Quote mark devoted. You'll see the cameraman swing around and show you the audience, and you can see some of the people. I look at those, and I know a lot of those people that showed up in those videos. And they're people who, bless their heart, it sounds terrible to say this, but somebody has a good job and a nice bank account and a good income, and they have a summer vacation. So what am I going to do with my summer vacation? I'm going to go to the Himalayan Institute for a Mandukya Upanishad seminar series from the Guru, Swami Rama. And there they are on camera. They're knowing that the camera is sweeping by, and you can see them looking just right and just proper with their white clothes and all this. And I know that I'm being a little sarcastic.
I know who you have in mind.
I have several of them in mind. All I got to do is watch some of those, and I say, "Oh, yeah, I know."
Very spiritual.
And with this spiritual look. And oops, I've got Matri on there rather than me. Who's showing? Oh, both of us are showing. All three of us are showing, the text and Matri and me. I'm not talking like that to be negative about anybody. It's not my intent. I have never once taken this sutra and waved it in somebody's face and blasted them because they're not doing it. It's not in my nature to give an individual person face-to-face that kind of attitude. I just don't do it. I don't think that I ever have. Why? Because the bottom line is we simply must do this ourselves. No Krishna, no Christ, no Buddha, no anybody can do this for us. Nobody can cultivate for me constant awareness. I have to figure it out for myself. If I just say to myself, well, I don't know what that means, Mr. Guru, give me another definition of long time and tell me more about this attitude. And I'm going to put it on the burden. A lot of the Christians say, all I have to do is go to a church on any one Sunday morning, go up in front of the room, in front of the preacher, and say, I give my life over to Jesus. And the man will touch you on the head and say, my child, you are now saved from burning in hell. That's all you have to do. That's the end of the journey. Never get around to doing any of this stuff we're talking about. I'm sorry to say it, but I have seen people who I thought were very sincere sadhakas with this stuff that we're doing here, and discovered that I was completely, totally wrong. When it's broken my heart to watch it happen, where I see a person that I care for literally get sucked up by some con man and start giving him their money and worshiping him and and believe when the man says, now you don't need to do any more meditation. I'm going to do it for you. I'm giving you Shaktipat. I've seen it happen, and it's heartbreaking. I cannot lie to you. I just cannot bring my people to run a con on anybody like that. It just doesn't work that way. Swami Rama said it clearly. It's a 50-50 deal. We have to do our 50%. And grace of God and grace of Atman and grace of Guru and grace of the teachings will come and do the other 50%. But it's so easy to fall in the trap that says, okay, well, I understand it's a 50-50 deal. Okay, you guys do your 50%, and after you've done your 50%, then I'll decide whether I want to put in my 50%. Sorry, it doesn't work that way. It just doesn't work that way. We have to figure out how to do our 50%. And if we say, well, I have a job, I have children, I have a spouse, I have a busy life, how can I do this without a break? You don't have my life. You're a monk, you're a swami, you don't understand my life. Sorry, my friends, you have to figure out how to do it. I can give you some ideas. Other people can give you ideas. We can go through Swami Rama stuff. We keep going through all these texts together over and over and over again. And if we will but listen, we're getting some very good tips about how to do this. But sorry to tell you, the bottom line is we have to do it ourselves. Long time means long time. Without a break means no break. And we have to have a proper attitude. And if you don't know what that means, read another book, talk to a friend, go to psychotherapy, get some therapy. Maybe the therapist can convince you what a good attitude is.
Yeah, they know, right.
Yeah, right. There is a raw simplicity in this stuff. And one of the ways that we can dodge the practice is go become an intellectual. Go get a PhD in philosophy.
Pilot, higher,
there are
and
some
deeper.
places, pilot, higher, and deeper, says Joe. Oops.
I think unless you are possessed by it like a drug addict and thinking about it all the time, you're not even scratching the surface.
I made a little video a few years ago. It's still on YouTube. Maybe I'll post it here as a reminder for you. It was very sweet. I took some Chopin music. I think it was Chopin. And I put it in the background. And I made a little comparison that a master musician like Chopin has to practice for a long time, a lot of time, long time, no break, and with a proper attitude, and then he becomes a master pianist. I was trying to draw... What?
Go ahead.
Anyway, I was just trying to draw a sweet comparison to say, gee, gosh, everybody, that's what we all have to do with yoga. And I've had people say, oh, that's a nice, pretty YouTube video you made. Thank you. That's such a nice, little, cute YouTube video.
Yeah, the music is very nice. They say they did some research about people who are really, really sufficient with an instrument, and they were wondering if it's talent or practice. And most of these people who are just incredibly good in playing instrument have done over 10,000 hours before they're 21 years old.
Yeah.
On the instrument. So
I never borrowed that number, but this is my standard number. I'll tell you a story of what just happened within the last 3 days. The telephone in the office of the ashram rang. I answered the telephone, and it was, I could tell the man's voice. He was a younger fella. And I couldn't catch his name and where he was from and really why he was calling. So I let him go ahead and tell his story. And finally, I understood that what he was calling me for is he wanted me to send our people, our followers from our ashram to his place where his guru ran his ashram in the Miami area. Miami in South Florida, a long way from here. and he was wanting to offer me a business deal, that they would pay me a commission for every student that I sent to go down there to go through their teacher training program. Okay, this is what this fellow was calling me.
Why don't you send me? I'll have a word with them.
Yeah, we'll send Joe down there. Boy, yeah, good luck, people. No, they would take you. And then I later went and looked at their website.
Then they would look after you after that.
And the total fee for their program was something on order of $5,000. I don't know what my share was going to be.
We're in the wrong business, Ramaji.
Yeah, we know that, but we've known that.
We're not in all the business. We're not in business.
We're not in the business at all. And so anyway, he told me this, and then he wanted to know if we have. He said, "You're an ashram also?" And I said, "What do you mean an ashram also? What did you think you were calling?" I thought maybe it's like, well, you thought you were calling a pizza restaurant, and you discovered that it's a pizza restaurant and an ashram. And he said, "No, I mean you're an ashram too." And I couldn't get that. I literally didn't know. And finally, I figured out that he was telling me that he was calling me from an ashram. And the relevance of this rant that I'm on right now is that I ended up saying, we do not have a teacher training program. I said, my friend, it is absolutely ludicrous. It is insane to think that you're going to take a person and put them through 200 or 300 hours and going to make them a yoga teacher. This is absolutely ridiculous. And I told this fella, it takes at least 10,000 hours just to become a student. You better be ready to put in 10,000 hours of practice, and then you can become a student. Here's a simple arithmetic for you to chew on. Everybody, not right now, but later, pull out your calculator and double check my numbers. If you work a full-time job, what's a standard full-time job? Just rough numbers.
40 hours?
A 40-hour week. 40 hours every week for 40 weeks or 50 weeks. I work 40 hours. 50 weeks a year times 40 hours, and that's with only 2 weeks of vacation a year, and that's in America. There's 2,000 hours in a year. So if you work a full-time job, think about if you go to university, run your calculator. How many hours do you have to put in for a semester of university class? And then multiply it out. Run your own numbers, and you'll be surprised. But in rough numbers, 40 hours per week, 50 weeks a year is 2,000 hours for 5 years will get you that. It is enough. So.
And then you're just a student.
Yeah. Anyway, I know I'm getting off again here, but
no, you're saying the right thing.
You wanted me to come and talk about those 2 words. You said those 2 words. I said, well, wait a minute. What are those 2 words? Where are those? I know the principles. I'm proud to say I am not a Sanskrit scholar.
God.
I've known some Sanskrit scholars
God.
who can say, wow, the thing they got going for them is that I'm a Sanskrit scholar. I met a young man in India. I'm not going to say too much because somebody may eventually figure out who it is, and he's still out and about, and I think he's probably on Facebook, though I don't know. And I asked this man, he sat down in the garden in Swami Rama's ashram. And he had, at the time I was talking to him, he had 2 master's degrees and a PhD. And his doctorate degree was in Sanskrit. And I said, I'm curious. May I ask you a question? He said, yes. I said, I'm curious. You spent several years studying the Sanskrit of the Yoga Sutras, right? And he said, yes. And I said, I'm just curious, with that kind of knowledge, that you have from studying, I said, what key principle do you see in the Yoga Sutras that for you is the one that's like the hinge on a door, that all the rest of it rotates on that hinge? Think of have you ever installed a door
Yep.
If you install a door, notice that a lot of doors are really quite heavy.
Mm-hmm.
And to install the door, but you can open the door with your little finger.
Little hinges swing big doors.
Little hinges swing big doors. That was the principle I was asking. So what principle for you is the hinge of the door of yoga? He couldn't answer me.
Doesn't know what the door
He
is.
he didn't know what the door was. And I said, well, let me ask you a question. We were sitting in 2 chairs in the garden in Swami Rama's ashram. I said, if some person walked in the front driveway here of the ashram and came here and said, sir, may I ask you a question? Can you please tell me what's the most important central principle that I need to work on in this Yoga Sutras business to get enlightenment? I said, how would you respond to this person? And the guy finally said to me, now get ready for this. This is what he said. He said, well, I guess I would tell him to do good work on his job. Whatever kind of work he does, do good work. He completely missed the point. He did not direct him to this word satkara. For me, the word, I named this ashram Abhyasa because to me, Abhyasa holds the key to the whole thing. Abhyasa is the attitude of making good decisions that lead me toward a steady, stable, tranquil, peaceful mind. If I will make those kind of decisions in life, then all of the rest of this will start to fall in place. Then we will understand something about vairagya, non-attachment. Then when we look at this sutra, we look at long time, and long time makes sense and says, wow, I cannot do this in a weekend retreat. I cannot do it in a month-long retreat. I cannot do it by going and getting a 200-hour teacher training certificate, or even better yet, a 500-hour teacher training certificate. It's not going to work. But anyway, I'm just telling you that because this was a Sanskrit scholar. It was a well-respected young man, very, very bright with Sanskrit. But this sounds terrible, but he was a damn idiot when it comes down to doing this stuff.
Like Swami Rama said to that guy, sit like a yogi, and he didn't know how to.
Yeah, there was a guy who was working on an advanced degree at Banaras Hindu University in Allahabad, and somehow Swami Rama was, as in his younger years, was called upon to sit on the examining committee of this fellow, is what happened. Mm-hmm. When you sit for an advanced degree, you have to go for oral exams, not just written exams. So he went for his oral exams, and Swami Rama, the younger fellow from the Himalayas, did nothing but sit on his butt. Asked him to please sit like a yogi, and the guy couldn't do it. Now, these are just stories, and anybody who wants can say, well, that Swami Rama's a bad guru, and that Swami Janeshwar, he knows absolutely nothing about what he's talking about. He doesn't even have a bachelor's degree in Sanskrit, let alone a PhD. And that Madhuri, she's just a duchy. What the hell does she know?
What's duchy?
A duchy, yeah. That's one of those people from Holland.
I'm the opposite of an Indian old man.
Yeah, you're pretty much, you are. That's well said. There's humor in that.
Yeah, I use that sometimes. I'm a young, white female.
Joel Moreau says 99% perspiration, 1% inspiration, as my grandmother used to say. It's something like that.
Grannies, they know their ways.
I can't click on that thing that you put. This was a book for 10,000 hours research. I'll look at it later and see what it says. And I presume, Raj, what you put in there was the YouTube that I was talking about. Anyway.
Yeah, he put that.
Yeah. Long time, no break, and have a proper attitude.
There.
I'm sorry to tell you this, but nobody can do it for us. Nobody can do it for us. You can be inspired by another person. I watched the Dutchies. They hang out with Matri. I think I have not polled them. I have not interviewed them, but I think that probably part of that is they look at this young woman. She's a child by compared to me, even though she has now officially entered middle age. There you go, Ma.
Thank you, Swamiji.
Ma is making fun of you.
I'm just a little humor at her expense.
That's okay. I've heard it before, so I'm prepared.
But anyway, what I was trying to say was very sweet.
I know. Continue.
Continue. Keep going.
Keep going.
Yeah. But they look at her and they know they're sitting with a young woman who is actually living this stuff. She's living this stuff. And for that, you can respect her and have some appreciation of that.
I was laughing, Swamiji, a few days ago or so, last week. I was sitting here. I said, I'm here all alone. Nobody sees what I'm doing. I'm not in the ashram. I have to live like a proper ashram life, and I'm not online. I'm not in any retreat or anything. I'm all by myself. I can do anything I want, and still, out of all the choices, this is what I do, anyways, even if nobody is watching.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I think that counts for a lot of people, because there's no name and fame in sitting on your butt. You just do it for yourself with hopefully the big S self.
And that's the spirit of this that we're looking at here.
Yes.
I think what you're talking about is conviction.
It's conviction.
If you don't have the conviction, you're not going to put on.
And that's part of the attitude.
Shraddha.
And that's in a sutra to come. That is in Sutra 20. This is where we come to Sutra 20. We're not at that section yet. It's coming soon, though. It's the next section, isn't it?
No, some cliffhangers.
Two more sections to go.
Next week.
And so, I don't know. This is sort of the core of this section.
Mm-hmm.
And then the mind loses desire even for objects, all the cities, all the powers that we read about in the books. There becomes an utter Vaishikara, desirelessness. I can remember that one of the favorite words of Swami Veda was Vashikara. I heard him use that word when he was Pandit in his old recordings from the 1970s. This man just kept loving that word, because it means not just a little bit of non-attachment. It means utter, completely, totally non-attached. There's nothing in this world that's going to
do it in view.
Huh?
So that I'll do it in view so everyone can see what the sound is.
Okay, thank you. I'll put that up there. So I'll put this up so you can see Vashikara if you want another word. Vashikara. Total control. Total vairagya.
Utter.
And that's where I got the word. That's where when I put this together, that's from where I borrowed this word utter, because I always liked it, and I liked and respected the passion that would come out of this man as he would say this in front of a room full of stupid students.
You're talking about
Arya.
Arya.
Arya Swami Veda. I just remembered that as we were looking at this word. I can remember the times he would say Vashikara. Of course, he would pronounce it properly because he was a Sanskrit scholar. And then he would say,
meditator.
And a meditator. Utter. Total desirelessness.
Yes.
Now, this does not mean that you and I should beat up on ourselves when we still want to have a nice fresh mango or something. Let's go off to mangoes, Raj. So we should enjoy life.
Hint.
We should enjoy life. But if we're going to cultivate utter, then it should be like Rojo. Don't get bent out of shape if Raj does not bring mangoes.
It's not in season.
Who cares?
Who cares?
We'll take it out of
the
season.
question is, what is a phenomena? The question is, who cares? Utter desirelessness.
He's coming soon, right? Yeah, he's
I
coming
know,
soon.
next week, I think.
Yeah.
Not this weekend, but I think the following weekend I may be on flight.
Yeah. Seek self-realization at all cost.
That's what the boss told me one day. One day I was walking.
My favorite sentence.
And he dumped that sentence on me, and it was music to my ears. I've had many people in my life tell me what to do or what's wrong with me in one way or another, how you should improve yourself. I want to give you some constructive criticism. That was a popular phrase in the 1970s.
I'm calling it positive so I can tear you apart.
I'm going to give you some positive feedback, and now I'm going to rip you apart. But it's okay because I'm calling it positive feedback or constructive criticism. I've had
for your own good, Swamiji.
For your own good.
Yeah, bend over, right?
Yeah, bend over. I've had some of that in my life. But this was, as far as I can recall, the only time in my life, this incarnation, that I've ever had anybody strongly tell me what to do that actually matched what I wanted to do inside. And it's the spirit of what we're talking about here. With utter desirelessness and having a proper attitude, long time, no break, and stita abhyasa, seeking tranquil, steady mind. He said, seek self-realization at all costs. That is an exact quote. It's what came out of his mouth. And there was a power behind it when he said it to me. And it was, I say this cliche, it's a cliche, my choice of words, and it makes it sound sweet. It was it was 100 times more potent than saying it was music to my ears. It went right to the core of my being, and it was like, holy shit. I just was told what to do that matches with what I've been thinking I wanted to do all along once I knew what I was talking about. And people think you're crazy if you actually want to do that.
That's how you know you're on the right track.
It's one of the ways you know you're on the right track. There is a passage in the Christian Bible that he says essentially this, and I don't know how many. I'm not sure I've ever met a Christian who says I am a Christian who actually lives this. It says you've only got two choices in life: God or mammon. Mammon, I think, is the word. It means the world. Worldly life of pleasures and joys and all of that kind of stuff.
They probably mean the devil.
Or God. No, that's not what they say. Some probably interpreted that, but it's in the Bible. You can look it up. You can Google it and find that. And said strongly, it's essentially the same thing. Seek self-realization at all costs. And how many people are willing to do it? Not many. I'll tell you another little tip here so you don't think that I'm bashing on all of you or whoever may listen to this before they unenroll themselves from the Ashram Satsang group. Well, you never know.
That's how you know you're doing well.
Those people who have that kind of conviction and are trying to gain some understanding of what to do, those are the people who I like to hang out with.
Not a lot of us, are they?
There's not a lot. And I may be deluded in the comment that I'm about to make, but I don't think I am. I think after the filtering process, most of the people that end up hanging out around me and our tiny little ashram are kind of in that category.
Swami Rama said, time is a great filter.
Time is a great filter. But a lot of people get filtered out. You know, I kind of wondered, Nilesh, as example. I haven't known you very long, but I haven't run you off yet. You keep popping up here. So maybe I sit here and I say, gee, who is this Nilesh character that suddenly showed up and is involved in what we're doing? And it makes me wonder. You listen to me go on rants like this, and you keep hanging out, and there's a part of deep in my heart, there's a part of me that says, I hope that he's one of them. I just hope that he's one of them and that he sticks with it.
Yes.
And when I look down the names of who's involved in what we're doing, I literally think of individuals one at a time. Ma has seen me do it. I keep a list of some of the people on a piece of paper. She's watched me in the meditation room. I use it as a way of remembering. Oh, that's right. There's Joe. There's Raj. And so
Leela popped up.
Leela, huh?
Leela, yeah, I know she's going through some rough times, but it's amazing how she keeps standing with her practice like that.
Yeah. So anyway, enough of this. And there's a nice cutesy little thing that can be printed out, and you can fill out the boxes and things that I feel attraction or aversion towards. Indifference even to the gunas is supreme non-attachment.
Hi, Mir.
Is Mir here?
Yeah, from India. He's going to Sadhana Mandir.
Mir
I have to respond to his message.
Mir is at Sadhana Mandir right now?
No, he's going to. So
I thought I saw a post that he was somewhere else. Where? Bombay?
Yeah, he was at Mumbai.
Mumbai. He was somewhere. He was at a temple or at a...
I don't remember.
Someplace, and I looked. I said, "Oh, wow, that's cool." Anyway, it's 8 o'clock. It's on the hour. Enough of this silliness. We've either talked about it and it makes sense. You see, there's that little video.
There it is.
There it is. See if it still works.
The music is lovely.
3 requirements to play the music of meditation. See, there's the keyboard. Look, listen to that music. You see, this is yoga. Mastery of any art requires time. Can you see that, anybody? Persistence. And devotion. This is yoga. This is going to be fun to see if this plays its way through on the playback.
Yeah.
Yoga. We can see and hear. It's good, huh? Practice is the endeavor towards steady tranquility, abhyasa. Yoga Sutra 114. The Tantra outlines 3 requirements for practice. Satu dirge kala nirantaraya blah 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 blah. Satu, that practice, however, here it comes, Nilesh, must be done for a long time. Dirgha kala.
Nirantara.
Continuously, without interruption, no vacations. With respect and devotion and adoration, or something like that. Pursued assiduously, completely. Then it becomes firm of ground. How do I become steady in my practice? Now, somebody wrote to me that I have the wrong picture here. When I Googled looking for a picture of Chopin, this came up, but it's not Chopin, it's somebody else. No, the music is Chopin, but the picture is not Chopin. I found it on Google. I don't know what the man looked like, so I presumed that where I borrowed this from was accurate.
Looks right. the hair.
Yeah, it's close enough. He's an old dude that looks like he came
With
from...
a wig on.
With a wig on. An old dude with a wig.
It's Mozart, Raj says.
It's Mozart. Okay, see, some of these people are smarter than me. All I know is the underlying meaning. That I know.
Yeah, the Pionat.
It touches you like this music inside. You know,
Yeah, the yoga shit has to touch you inside like the music does. That's the summary of Joe. Practice meditation with devotion every day without exception
Without.
for a long time. Doesn't mean sit down for 3 hours at a time. It means over years. That's what long time means.
12 hours a day.
I'm going to sit down and meditate for 12 hours and be enlightened. No, 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 no. Anyway, enough of this. Have we beat the dead horse enough, Mom?
Yeah, it's not a dead horse, but I think there has been sufficient beating of it. So it's a waking up call, Swamiji. It's not.
Yeah.
It's a loving, non-attached. You really have no, nothing but good intentions in sometimes lovingly doing that for us.
Well,
Next time, tell us how you really feel. Don't hold back.
yeah, I'll try to not hold back next time. But it's blame Nilesh. It's his fault because he's the one who put that in there and wanted to talk about those two words. And then between Raj and Matri telling me to scroll down and go to the proper sutra. And then
It's all our fault, Swamiji.
it's all your
okay.
fault. And
I'll take that anytime. No problem.
you put the quarter in the jukebox and I
Yes.
started singing. Anyway.
There, Gene was even here. We didn't see him snuck in.
Who was?
Gene, he just said thank you, Swamiji.
The Pittsburgh gene.
The Pittsburgh gene.
Yes.
The from the Burg of Pitts. All righty. Oh, there. Yeah, anyway. So thank you for visiting and playing. And see, we're down to 7 people, so I ran off a bunch of them.
Good job.
I remember, I'll tell you one last little story. I did not see this happen, but it was a little game that Swami Rama did because he wanted to find out who was serious. He sat down in a room. The people were going to be together for a series of presentations over a few days. And he came in and he sat in a chair and had a little table beside him, and it had a whiskey bottle there. Nobody knew.
Like Blade.
Was it? I don't know what. It might have been scotch. It was whiskey or scotch or
He would
something.
be drinking cheap shit.
He would not. That's probably true. But in it was tea. What was in it? The bottle was tea. But the people didn't know that. He started pouring this out into a glass and drinking the tea like this and started acting goofy. And it started out with a bunch of people one night. The next night, half of the people were gone. They didn't come back. And this night, he came with the bottle again and sat there and drank it. And the next night, they came back together. Half of that batch disappeared. And after it was something like the 3rd or 4th night, they came together. And then he told everybody that it was tea. And now that we've got it down to the people who are really interested, now let's talk.
Maybe they wanted something to drink.
Maybe they did. We can make humor out of it, but it's just a story that supposedly happened in the 70s when he showed up in the U.S. and was making demonstrations of these siddhas, of these powers that he had. In front of scientists, he was really blowing some people's mind, and there were thousands of people started showing up, and so it was one of the things he did to thin it out, to find out who's really more serious about this stuff. I wasn't there. What?
You know, you tell that story about that the sage, whoever gets enlightenment and then it pisses you off.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you, Ma. Your voice is obscuring.
Yeah, the echo is bad. Okay, now that story that you tell that, when the sage would ask, whoever jumps off this cliff will get enlightened, and then it kind of pisses you off because, it's not that you don't want it, but you're just a chicken. In a sense, this story too that you're telling is always a little, because I'm serious, but I don't know if I would listen to a drunken dude.
Yeah, but are you listening to the words coming out of the mouth?
Yes, of course.
And are you paying attention?
Yes.
In the lectures we have of him recorded, how often he starts the presentation by saying, "I'm really going to tell you something tonight, provided you pay attention."
For those who like to
he will say, "Those of you who listen will get something out of this tonight, but the others, there's nothing I can do for you."
No, so if he would still talk the same, I would stay.
This is what I'm saying.
Okay, good.
And so it's just a story. And who knows? And it's very, very easy to say, "Oh, that's a bad man for this or that or the other reason. I'm leaving him. I'm guru shopping. I'm going to go to a different guru."
Yeah. Wasn't it that he and Swami Muktananda were friends and they were joking?
He and Swami Muktananda had an ashram in New York State. So we were in eastern Pennsylvania, and right across the border into New York State was where his ashram was. And students of Swami Rama would get disgruntled and leave and go see Muktananda. Muktananda students would get disgruntled and leave and join up with Swami Rama. And these two dudes were friends with each other. So they knew it was happening. And it's just humor.
It is.
And I'm not remembering those things to try to give anybody a hard time. I wish everybody,
would get the stit out that comes when you do abhyasa.
Would get the stit out. And it is this thing that we've homed in on there, that proper attitude, however you define it, you've got to play with that. For a long time, you're not going to get it in a weekend retreat. You're not going to get it by going to an ashram for a month. I routinely, some of you know this, I routinely will get a request that said, from somebody that says, I basically saying, I can't live in my marriage, I can't live in my job, I can't live in my community, I can't stand my parents. I want to run away to an ashram. Nobody will ever say, I want to run away. They'll say, I'm spiritual and I want to go spend my life in an ashram.
Yeah. And then when you tell them that the ashram is going to be worse than daily life.
We go to the place in Miami. It's actually a very good idea. And so, again.
Well, it's 3:11.
Yeah. So get some rest.
I'll do some practice first.
All righty. We still have 7 people. Nobody else has left yet. And
good.
If I sit here, I can run off a few more.
Come on, too
You're
many
crazy.
heavy liquor.
Yeah. Go, Joe. Go bring the whiskey. Bring the whiskey.
I drank a Heineken the other day, Samaji.
You did?
Yeah, it was a 0.0. Wouter told me that they have a 0.0. And it's actually pretty good.
You had one, huh?
I had one in honor of Wouter.
Good. That was very thoughtful of you.
Yeah, I sent him a picture and everything.
Yeah, all righty. Well, maybe there's time for a little walk now before meditation.
Sounds like a plan.
Sounds like a plan. So thank you all for playing and being tolerant. And, we'll see now what happens with this. Okay, so bye, Ma.
Bye. Dewey.
Dewey.
See y'all later.
See y'all. Yes, Joe says see y'all later. Let's let Joe have the last word. There. There it is with little symbols. I don't know what that is. I can't see them. I guess they're waving hands. Is that what they are?
Oh, I just see a white spot.
Oh, they're hand waves and smiley faces.
Good.
So the hand waves are...
Bye, Sriram, and bye, Anjan.
Yes. Bye-bye, Sri Rambanjan. Thank you all
And
for
everyone
playing
else.
and tolerating. And so, okay. Oh, we grew a person. Maybe we should stick with it. We grew another person. No.
No.
Remember, it's all about the silence after the Om. It all comes down. Constant awareness of this. Long time, no break. Long time, wow, boy. My question mark is bigger than your question mark, huh? Okay, Joe's going to go walking with me. That was humorous, Mom. Put it up again. Look at the size of that question mark. Her Atman is bigger than my Atman. I have a little bitty Atman over
Is
here.
this like a pissing
There has to be
Huh?
This is the grace of the teacher student. The student always gets the best share of the pie.
Yeah, there you go. Alrighty. So,
But that means that this is also really big.
yeah, this is true. Boy, look at them stem scars she's got there. Holy cow. Alrighty. Bye-bye. Thank you
Bye,
for
everyone.
playing. Join us in Table Talk. Earlier today, Matrita and I turned on Table Talk. And we caught a Nelly, but nobody else. I'm not complaining about that. But anyway, if you want to hang out in Table Talk, we can do that some more.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Bye-bye, all.
Bye.
See you soon, Raj.
Till next time.
Okay.
Next week.
Okay. I'm going to hit the end button, Mom.
Do it.
We dare you, do it.
I've been hitting the end button pretty good without you around to tell me to do it. Roseanne helped a couple times. Just
Thank
says,
you, Roseanne.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, she's your backup, I think.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Bye-bye. So 3, 2, 1. Yes, Raj. See you soon. 1.
Oh.